We're joined now by our Toronto Maple Leafs reporter, Mark Masters, the president of Masters Nation, along with our hockey insider, Chris Johnston. These two are inseparable. Look at them. They look great. We have to start with William Nylander. Speaking of looking great, this guy hadn't scored since March the 26th. He misses the first 3 games of the series. He scores both goals in this hockey game. He swears on U.S. national television before the game. What were his teammates saying about him after the game, Mark Masters?
Oh, well, they were saying William Nylander came through for us because when we needed him most, needed someone to break open a series that's been so tight and so hard to generate offense. They needed him, and he came through. You know, Sheldon Keefe called it big-time stuff. You know, the guys, we felt this coming. You know, this morning that was a big talking point. Is this going to be the game where William Nylander breaks through? Is this going to be the William Nylander game? And it was. The fans here in Game 4 when he made his series debut, they were chanting Will Lee on that first shift. Everyone here knew that at some point he was going to have his moment. They had to wait a bit, but in a game where it was tense in this building, William Nylander, who last year declared it's fun to face elimination, well, he proved that it is for him. You know, in the last few playoffs here since 2020, no one has scored more goals for the Leafs since William Nylander. And Jay, we saw another example of him meeting the moment here tonight.
And CJ, Joseph Woll, what can you say about this guy? If not for a last-second goal, and I mean last 0.1 second, this would have been a first career playoff shutout for Joseph Woll. Where is this play coming from, though, CJ, considering the way he struggled toward the end of the regular season?
Well, I mean, he's always had it in him. Certainly, I know the Leafs, when they were weighing this decision, knew that he has delivered some big games for them individually in the past. He's put together some nice stretches. He hadn't really done that too often or too frequently since recovering from that high ankle sprain, but I think that's why they made the decision to go to him in an elimination game, because they knew his highest level could be something that looks like this. And you know, how spectacular is it? Even with that last 0.1 second of a goal, he's only allowed 2 goals in 7 periods during this series, has been the equal of Jeremy Swayman, which is key and crucial for getting this to a Game 7, because obviously Ilya Samsonov, his tandem mate, wasn't awful by any stretch in this series, but he was getting outplayed at the other end, and that was part of why Toronto found itself down 3-1. So Joseph Woll, he's had this, he was the next great American goalie when he was a kid. You know, he's shown a lot of promise in his career, but this is without question the best we've seen him play on this kind of stage.
All right, this one is for both of you. Mark, maybe I'll start with you. Jim Montgomery, he calls out his Bruins after both of these last 2 losses. It seems to me that the pressure should be all on Boston going into Game 7, and yet we know the history of this Toronto Maple Leafs team. So who is the pressure on Saturday night in Game 7?
Both these teams got demons. It's the Demon Bowl on Saturday night in Beantown. You know, William Nylander was asked about Game 7s. He's like, I don't think we've won one, and so we're up to the test. But, you know, you just sense it around Boston that they're a little tight. You know, I asked Tyler Bertuzzi if he could sense Brad Marchand, his old buddy. His old teammate was getting frustrated. He said, I think everyone on the other side is getting frustrated. Jim Montgomery made a couple changes to his lineup for Game 5 that did not work out. It feels like Sheldon Keefe's pushing the right buttons now, but, you know, we know the Leafs, they've lost a couple of Game 7s this core in Boston, and they're still without Austin Matthews. It doesn't sound like he's going to be back for Game 7, so it's still a big challenge for them. Where do you sit on this, CJ?
I think the pressure's on Boston. I mean, look, we know what the Leafs, everything that's gone on here, they have to get a result in order to probably save some jobs around in this building. So I'm not by any means diminishing what's at stake for them in that game. But I just think with the way it's played out, the fact that Boston blew a 3-1 series last year in the spring, it's been weird, as Mark said. Like, after Game 5, we were almost surprised. Like, the tone of the questions from the Boston reporters, just it does feel as though all of a sudden the Bruins, this franchise that certainly had far more success than the Leafs in recent years, is you know, it's carrying around a big weight here. And let's not look past the fact the Bruins just have not played as well as the Leafs in these last 2 games. It's not just about demons and ghosts and storylines and narratives. I mean, they have 3 shots total in the last 2 first periods of the series. Just not good enough to put the pressure on the Leafs in 2 chances to eliminate them. They might strike out on a 3rd if they don't perform better.
Yeah, in fact, CJ, the Bruins have now lost 6 straight series-clinching games dating back only to 2022. Hard to believe. CJ, Mark, you guys are great together. Never change.